We also had another panelist who you'll see in your program who was to be with us today on Zoom. Senator Judith Zaffirini actually is unable to appear with us live because she's in a redistricting hearing and was not able to tear herself away. We were going to ask her about a big victory that she had this session, a bill that guarantees the public's right to know about COVID and other communicable diseases outbreaks in our nursing homes and assisted living facilities. She's recorded some thoughts for us about that, which we'll hear now.
Thank you, Yvonne, for your warm and generous introduction, and thank you and the Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas for the opportunity to look back at the 2021 legislative session before looking ahead to 2023. When my dear and valued friend and former student, Diana Fuentes, invited me to serve on today's panel, I said that I would, unless a legislative conflict developed. Sure enough, the Senate Redistricting Committee on which I serve is meeting at 10 a.m. today, so I thank you for accommodating me via Zoom. I thought about you when I read a statement attributed to Plato. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when adults are afraid of the light. Incredibly, in this day and age, there are still government officials who resist sunshine laws and, in fact, also resist most efforts to strengthen our open government laws. That persistent resistance is what makes your work so important, so impressive. And sharing freedom of information is the cornerstone to our belief that transparency is essential to preserving democratic governance. You may be the only civic or professional organization that has a biblical standard. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I believe strongly we should not tolerate public officials who do not want to make the truth public and who persist in working secretly behind closed doors and shuttered windows. To hold their leaders accountable, Texans need to know what happens in the rooms and halls of power. The more complicated our government becomes, the greater the potential damage of poor stewardship or of outright abuse, and the greater the need for transparency. This is especially true during emergencies, whether they're winter storms, pandemics, or even recessions. The public's right to the truth never changes, but the need for it is never greater than during a crisis. This is why during our most recent challenging times, for example, my staff and I welcome the opportunity to collaborate with you in writing open government legislation. I wish I could be part of today's panel that will discuss legislative outcomes and beyond, but I'm delighted to share my perspective about looking back at 2021 before looking ahead at 2023. It was my pleasure to work with many of you to develop our 2021 legislative priorities. Our efforts included co-hosting a Zoom webinar titled Government Transparency During Emergencies. We reached 2,500 persons with that webinar, and 104 commented during its broadcast. Legislative suggestions generated from that interaction and other sources were related to your theme, Overcoming the Information Lockdown. When the COVID-19 pandemic began last year, my staff and I began receiving reports that family members were being denied access to information about the safety of nursing homes where their loved ones resided. I can only imagine the anxieties those families felt. As we investigated, we learned that advocates and journalists also were being denied access to information by state and local government officials. That's why some of you and I decided to address this issue by filing my Senate Bill 930. Thank God it was signed by the governor and became effective September 1st. It provides that the name or location of long-term care facilities in which residents have been diagnosed with communicable diseases and the number of residents diagnosed are not confidential unless defined as such by another law. Such information is now subject to disclosure by state agencies or local health authorities under the Texas Public Information Act. The impact of this new law has been comforting to families and empowering to journalists. I also filed Senate Bill 925, which sought to close a loophole that allows some entities to avoid public information requests permanently by claiming every day as a skeleton crew day, not as a business day. Such an excuse for skirting defined responses times is unthinkable, and that loophole must be closed. Passing that bill should be high on our priority list for 2023. Other failed bills that we should file anew are Senate Bill 927, which would have created a complaint mechanism at the Attorney General's office for requesters to report government bodies that fail to respond to public information requests, and Senate Bill 924, which would have protected the public's right to participate in open meetings held via teleconference or video conference. Clearly, the legislative package we developed was as timely and thorough as it was important and necessary. Had external forces not reduced the number of days the legislature met or caused committees to delay holding hearings, I believe we would have passed all, if not most, of our bills. My staff and I tried mightily, including by repeatedly requesting hearings and by visiting with the committee chair at his desk in the Senate. What we heard is that the legislature already had passed so many government bills, and that because of the late start caused by the pandemic, fewer bills would be passed this session. They were. By way of example, in 2021, the legislature passed only 3,803 of the 9,999 bills filed. That is 778 fewer, or 8% less, than in 2019. That session, we passed 4,581 of the 10,877 bills filed. If there is anything I know as a legislator, it's how to pass bills. Because my staff and I work so hard with so many groups like you, I've passed more bills than any other legislator in the history of the state of Texas. And as a Democrat in a Republican-dominated legislature, I passed 106 bills this year, making me the highest bill passer for the 4th consecutive session. Open government bills will remain at the top of my agenda as we prepare for 2023. I hope that even more of you will collaborate with us in reviewing those we didn't pass and in determining if we have to amend them in any way before pre-filing them on November 14th, 2022. That's only 14 months away. The Senate Business and Commerce Committee, where many open government bills died, is likely to continue to be the committee of jurisdiction for our efforts. I've asked the Lieutenant Governor to appoint me to that committee again, and he seemed favorable. The new committee chair, Senator Charles Schwertner, is a good friend, and it will be easy for me to discuss our freedom of information priorities with him. I hope you will too. I also hope that as we look ahead and plan ahead during the interim at hand, we will reflect the beautiful words by President John F. Kennedy. We must never forget that the free flow of information is essential to a democratic society. Thank you for everything you do and everything you will do to promote open and transparent state government. My prayer is that the Lord will bless you for your good work and inspire you to continue to excel.
Thank you to Senator Zapparini and her office for putting that together today. I wish that she could have joined us because I think that she deserves our thanks for the work that she did this year.